Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Breaking the Barriers. So today I am making the second part of video We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. It's chapter number 2 in Hornbill book class 11th. I have already shared a video for the first part of the explanation. If you have not watched that video, then you click on this I button and go and watch that video, because this video is second part. That means I'll be continuing the explanation of the chapter from where I have left in the first video. So if you like the video, subscribe the channel and let's begin. So in the previous video, I have finished the part where the narrator says that he has to search for island El Amsterdam, which is like pinpricks in this vast ocean, means very small. And after that, we are going to continue with today's video. After that, the explanation begins. But unless the wind and seas abated so we could hoist sail, our chances would be slim indeed. Means unless the wind and the seas come to normal and we can hoist the sail, means we can again open the sail, our chances for survival are very slim or very minimum. The great wave has put our auxiliary engine out of action. Auxiliary means secondary. So every ship has an auxiliary engine. If the main engine fails, then this auxiliary engine helps. But due to the waves, this auxiliary engine is already out of order. On 4th Jan, after 36 hours of continuous pumping, we reached the last few centimeters of water. Now, last few centimeters means that almost they have pumped out majority of the water from the ship. Means their ship is now in such a position that they could take some rest and they could sail for another few hours to get to their nearest safety point, that is the island. Now we have only to keep pace with the water still coming in. Means the water that is seeping in through the holes, they just have to pump that water out. Okay. We could not set any sail on the main mast. Why? Now I told you what is a main mast. This is the ship, the poles on which we hang the sails, that is the mast. And the main mast means the center pole. These masts are used to hang the sails on them, and with the help of a chain and rope system they open and close the sails. But they are saying that they cannot open the main mast because pressure on the rigging would simply pull the damaged section of the hull apart. Rigging rigging means the system of chain and ropes which is used to open the sails in a ship. You must have seen that. Suppose this is the ship and this is the mast. The sails are hanging on this pole or the mast. To hold this mast in its place, we tie it with some ropes and chains. You must have seen it in movies. So that is the rigging system which is used to give support to the main mast. But they are saying they cannot set the sails because the hull, I told you yesterday in the video that the hull is the main wooden part of the ship, the main frame of the ship. So obviously, if this is the ship and this is the mast, where is the mast attached? It is attached on the hull, the part of the ship. So if you set sail, the hull is already broken and weak. What will happen? Due to the pressure of the wind, the mast may fall, and with it, it will also damage or take apart the section of the hull. It will damage the ship further. So that is why they cannot set sails. So we hoisted the storm jib, the small sail triangular. They hoisted the small storm jib and headed for where I thought the two islands were. Now he made some calculations and believed that okay, this is the direction which I have to follow, and they headed toward that particular direction. Mary found some corned beef and cracker biscuit. Now, corned beef means processed meat which is sold in tin cans. In India, it is not very popular, but in Western countries, this tin food is very popular. So, they also have this corned beef in tin with them. So, they ate some corned beef and cracker biscuits, and that was their first meal in 2 days. Since 2 days, they haven't eaten anything. But our respite was short lived. Means this relaxation period was very short. Why? Because at 4 p.m. black clouds began building up behind them. Within the hour, the winds were back to 40 knots. The speed of the wind is 40 knots, and the seas were getting higher. The weather continued to deteriorate, means degrade, throughout the night, and by dawn of 5th January, our situation was again desperate. Desperate means hopeless. When I went in to comfort the children, John asked, Daddy, are we going to die? Now, obviously, these children are also having these thoughts in their mind that what will happen next. So, finally, the son asked the father or the narrator that are we going to die? That's the question. I tried to assure him that we could make it. Now, obviously, in these type of circumstances, a parent's job is to motivate the child and make him think positively. But so here also he said that I tried to assure that everything would be fine, we will make it. But he asked, but daddy, he went on, we aren't afraid of dying if we can all be together, you and mummy, Sue and I. And this also happens to be the title of your chapter, we are not afraid to die if we are all together. It shows us that how our family or people whom we trust act as a center of positivity among us, and sometimes in adverse situations it gives a soothing effect. I could find no words with which to respond. He was quite amazed that my small son is thinking like this. He has never heard these type of emotions from his son, and that is why he's quite surprised. But I left the children's cabin determined to fight the sea with everything I had. But this thing also motivated him or gave him positive boost, because he thought that in no circumstances I can leave my children to die, and I will do my best to save my family. To protect the weakened starboard side, I decided to heave to with the undamaged port hull facing the oncoming waves. Now, what do you mean by heave to? Heave to means turning the ship across the wind, due to which the head sail will be back and it will not be facing the wind, due to which the ship comes to a stop. So, this method now will be employed by the narrator to save the ship. Now, how is he going to do this? Using an improvised sea anchor of heavy nylon rope and two 22-liter plastic barrels of paraffin. So he's going to make an anchor, because you know in part 1 of this video I have explained to you that their anchor was thrown overboard during the storm. Now he's making a improvised anchor, means a temporary anchor with nylon rope and two 22 liters plastic barrels of paraffin. Paraffin is a waxy substance, kind of an oil. That evening, Mary and I sat together holding hands. As the motion of the ship brought more and more water in through the broken planks, we both felt the end was very near. So obviously, in if you believe that yes, these are the end moments of your life, then you always want to spend those moments with God and your family. So he is holding the hands of his wife, and they were sitting, and more water is coming inside from the planks. But Wade Walker rode out the storm, and by the morning of 6th January, with the wind easing, I tried to get the reading on the sextant. Okay, so finally they have passed, the night is past, and January 6th, the wind starts to ease, it's becoming normal, and he's getting a reading on the sextant. Sextant is a device which is used to measure your location and distance during sea voyage or sea journey. So back in the chart room, I worked on speed winds, changes of course, drift and current in an effort to calculate our position. Now chart room, I have already explained to you what is the chart room in the part first of the video. So he went to the chart room and he worked on the wind speed. Now these things need to be considered if you are going to judge something accurately in a sea journey. So wind speed of the winds, change of course or direction, drift and the current of the wind or water currents, the speed at which the water is flowing, the speed at which wind is flowing. So these things need to be calculated. So he calculated. The best I could determine was that we were somewhere in 1,50,000 kilometers of ocean, looking for a 65-kilometer wide island. So the diameter or the radius of the sea in which they are stuck is 1,50,000 kilometers, and in this area they have to search for a 65-kilometer wide island. So it's not an easy task, you can say. While I was thinking, Sue, moving painfully, joined me. Now, why is she moving painfully? Because she had a swollen head, remember? The left side of her head was now very swollen, and her blackened eyes. Now, you know, now when you have swelling in your head or nearby areas, the portion of your eyes become black. So, the blackened eyes narrowed to slits. Narrow to slits means small cuts. So, you can understand when the eyes are swelled, you are unable to open them and they look like small cuts, slits. She gave me a card she had made. On the front, she had drawn caricatures of Mary and me with the words. Now, what are caricatures? Caricatures are sketch of persons which highlight the qualities of that person in a comical way. So, you must have seen caricatures of politicians in the newspaper, so you can understand them. So, the caricatures were of me and Mary, and the words were written, "Here are some funny people. Did they make you laugh?" I laughed a lot as well. Inside was a message. "Oh, how I love you both." And then when you opened the card, inside the card there was a message which says, "I love you both." Means you is saying that I love both of you, mother and father. So this card is to say thank you and let's hope for the best. Somehow we had to make it. I checked and rechecked my calculations. We had lost our main compass, and I was using a spare which had not been corrected for magnetic variations. The main compass is broken, and the spare compass that he is using, that is not set for magnetic variations, means you cannot completely rely on this compass that it is going to give you accurate readings or accurate directions. You have to leave some room for variations. I made an allowance for this and another estimate of the influence of the westerly currents which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. Two things that he's considering is the variation in the direction of the compass and the westerly currents. Okay. About 2 p.m., he went to the deck and asked Larry to steer the course of 185 degrees. Now, Larry was on the wheel and he asked Degree to turn the ship to 185 degrees. Now, when you are steering a ship, you turn the ship according to the degrees. Okay, you calculate the distance and you do it accordingly. And he's saying if we are lucky, we could see the island by 5 p.m. But he is not sure that his calculations are correct. Then, with a heavy heart, I went below, climbed on my bunk, and amazingly dozed off. He was so tired that as soon as he lie on his bed, he fell asleep. When I woke, it was 6 p.m. and growing dark. I knew we must have missed the island. Now, he was believing that the island would be, we will reach the island by 5 p.m. But when he woke up, it was already 6. It was growing dark outside, so he thought that maybe we have missed the island. And with the sail we had left, we couldn't hope to beat back into the westerly current. Now he is saying that if we have left the island behind, that our ship is not in a condition that we could turn the ship around and go against the wind. Up till now they are going with the wind, but now if they have to make a U-turn, they have to go against the wind. And he's saying the ship is not in a condition to do that, so we cannot find the island. As he was thinking all these things, suddenly a tousled head, tousled means untidy head appeared by my bunk, and it was head of Jonathan. And he said, "Can I have a hug?" And he hugged his dad. And Sue, the daughter, was standing just behind the son. "Why am I getting a hug now?" I asked. So he asked, "Why are my children hugging me?" "Because you are the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain," my son replied. The son said, "Because you are the best daddy and the best captain." But narrator thought that I have missed the island, and that is why he said, "Not today, John. I am afraid today I am not the best captain." "Why you must be," said Sue in a matter-of-fact voice. The matter-of-fact voice which is backed up by fact. When you are backed by fact, you are confident. And that is why with confidence you said, "You must be the best captain. You found the island." And now the narrator is surprised and he's like, "What?" exclaimed in surprise. And he said, I shouted, "It's out there in front of us." They chorused. It said they're out there. Chorus means the both of the children said this thing together. As big as a battleship. That island is as big as a battleship. I rushed on the deck. He ran to the deck and gazed with relief at the stark outline of El Amsterdam. When he looked up, he saw a stark outline. Stark means naked. So a naked outline, only the outline he could see, but from the outline it was clear that it is an island, and he was positive that it is El Amsterdam, and he's quite relieved. It was only a bleak piece of volcanic rock. It was only a piece of volcanic rock, means an island which is formed by the rocks made of volcano with little vegetation. The most beautiful island in the world. So it is an island made of volcanic rock with little vegetation. Looked beautiful. We anchored offshore for the night. Anchored, you all know, when you throw the anchor in the water to make the ship stand in a particular position. Offshore means at a little distance from the shore. So they did not try to leave their ship and go for the island at the night. They offshored and they spent the night in the ship only. The next morning, all 28 inhabitants of the island cheered as they helped us ashore. And next morning, 28 people who were living on that island came there to the shore, saw the ship, and helped the family to come ashore to the island. With land under my feet again, my thoughts were full of Larry and Herbie. So he could feel the land under his feet again, and he was very happy for everybody and Larry and Herb. Larry and Herbie, everybody was cheerful and optimistic. Larry and Herb were being cheerful and optimistic. Everybody was optimistic about the situation. Optimistic means thinking positive or bright thoughts about your future. Under the direst stress, everybody was optimist or positive in this phase of stress. And of Mary, who stayed at the wheel for all those crucial hours. So he's saying, I am grateful to Larry and Herb for being optimistic throughout the journey, and I am grateful to Mary also because she had helped me by holding the wheel or steering the ship in all those odd hours when I was busy saving all of us by putting in all my efforts. Most of all, I thought of the 7-year-old girl who did not want us to worry about the head injuries, talking about his daughter. And subsequently, later on, it took 6 minor operations to remove a recurring blood clot between skin and the skull. Now, due to that injury, Sue went through 6 small operations because a blood clot always used to form between the skull and the skin. But after 6 surgeries, she was fine. And of the 6-year-old boy who was not afraid to die. So, this finishes the explanation of the chapter. I hope the chapter is clear to you. If still you have any doubt, you can type them in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to address those doubts of yours. I am going to again attach a picture of a boat with all the important parts labeled as I did in part 1 of the video so that you can understand it in a better way. If you like this video, subscribe the channel, hit the like button, keep supporting. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.